Yes.
Okay, let's do this. Alrighty. Hi, everyone watching this back later on. I will wait a few minutes before we really get started. We have that little bit of a delay. But I feel like it feels so long ago since we did the last one.
I know. I don't know why. Yeah. Did we do it like earlier in the month, last month?
Maybe we did. And also, yeah, now it's August. We
that's true.
July. So hope you aren't tired of me, because you'll be seeing me in less than a month again.
Oh, goodness. Oh, all right. Sorry.
That's
I was pulling up my YouTube on here and it started talking.
Oh, Lisa is here. Hi, Lisa. Oh, so fun. Okay, I'm trying to make sure that it's weird because the chat is showing up for me, like on the YouTube page, but not our stream, like being on the screen. But we are live, so
I can see us going.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Did anyone cook for this month?
No.
You guys don't have to look like you like showed up without your homework. You're all like off the bandwagon. Yeah, no, I didn't cook. I was just, I don't know. It's nice to do it. It's fun, but
I really want to.
It really jumped out at me either. There weren't very many for this month.
Yeah, it seems like maybe not as many options, which I feel like there was a fair amount of food. Can I just say, before we do our thoughts, well, I guess I'll just start my thoughts and start off with, we got no outing to the Italian restaurant chapter.
No, that's true. We didn't. I didn't even think about that.
So pumped when we knew it was coming to town. And then the last one, I was like, okay, they're away at the beach, so we don't get that chapter. And then this book kept waiting, and I wanted this really decadent meal described. And then coming home and being like, oh, I have to have a nap. And
you could have tied it in so well with the diabetes too. It could have been a thing.
Yeah. Either it was hard because there was so much he couldn't eat, or they had made really special dishes for him. And, marinated.
He just felt like he had to.
Lots of marinated meat, But
yeah. Although I feel like if they're his friends, they probably should have known not to do that prior to. But we know from previous books they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
They give him Twinkies anyway, or whatever it is, Little Debbie's.
Yeah, like when he was going into the sweet shop, I thought, doesn't the owner know that he's diabetic and he shouldn't be eating?
Wasn't it like a sugar-free thing that he got?
I think it's afterwards, right?
Or that was the bakery. That's the Sweet Stuff Bakery. We got the sugar-free pastry.
Oh yeah.
But still not. I'm like, what are you doing going to the bakery?
He's just like a bad little boy.
He is. He's naughty. He's very naughty.
He is.
But despite the lack of that and no Luella in this book, I really liked
Wasn't she there a little bit? No.
Was there?
I did too. I think there was a little bit of her. He did go to Hope House at one chapter.
Yeah, there's not enough Luella, and not enough Barnabas. Not enough Barnabas content.
I know. No,
I was
there's hardly any Barnabas.
You know what content. I almost thought? I was like, did he die a couple books back, and I forgot it? Was I that absent-minded? And then it mentioned him saying something about Barnabas.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna renew my screens just so I can see the chat. I like to see the chat, and I'll mute it when it comes blaring. Hear my voice.
I know. I hate when that happens.
Are you guys hearing the little text message notification?
Mm-mm.
No, okay, because I'm getting a lot. It never happens. I'm getting a ton of text right now, and I never get any. But I'm using my phone, so of course they're popping up.
Oh, that's why. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like the ones that are set in Mitford, and I like just seeing all the same people. I loved the Dooley content, and I loved at the end that Lace called him, and there was just a lot to love in this one.
Mhm.
What else? I listened to the audiobook for this and it was just flying by. I hadn't listened to the audiobook in a while, and I love the little guitar interludes, and it's extremely cozy. Trying to think. It was just, filled with so many good Mitford things, just warmth and loveliness. And I got really emotional in his chapter that he was talking about in Everything Give Thanks. It felt like really personal to me because for the first 2 years of my chronic illness, I was like, no, thank you. And I was like, not ready to surrender and accept that I had it. And then last year, I just started thanking God for my chronic illness. Not keep it, please. It's don't take it away. But now I've realized like, it's not a punishment. It's not a gift, but it is a blessing. And I have really just like knowing Jesus has become so much sweeter through this time of illness, and seeing like my physical health is not my primary need. Like my spiritual health is my primary need. Because we all, whether we have healthy lives or not, we will all fail and pass. But loving Jesus just makes it really, really sweet. And just to see what really matters. So I still want it to be gone, but it's going to be a really different kind of perspective on it. So yeah, I really liked that sermon, and I like it. It sounds like, well, it was really sad also this month that, Angie, you're not in the my Patreon chat that we were talking about. Did you hear that Jan Karen's daughter died from cancer?
Yes, I did hear that.
Aw.
Really sad. And I think it's her only child. So,
Oh man.
I know. And I just can't imagine having a child die before you. And Jan Karen is older too. So,
yeah. I wonder how she's doing as far as health wise. You know what I mean? Because she's somebody said in the chat she was 86 or something. Is that what they said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
She looks so
sad.
youthful, Jan Karen.
I know.
Yeah.
Although maybe those are old pictures. We don't know.
Maybe. That's a good thought.
Yeah.
So I guess, Chelsea, what did you think of In This Mountain?
I really enjoyed it as well. It was nice being back in Mitford after kind of 2 books. We had the one book that was away and then the one book that was a flashback. So it's been 2 months since we actually caught up to speed with where all the characters are. So that was really nice. The Dooley content was great. My one gripe is I feel like his voice doesn't sound like it's aged as much as he has aged.
True.
When she's having him talk, I'm he's supposed to be 19 and in 2nd year university, and he doesn't sound that different. Both him and the twins, Sissy and Sassy, I feel like their voice has not aged because they're supposed to be 8 years old now. They sound
really? Yeah, that's true.
They are. Is it really 8? Yeah, they don't sound like 8-year-olds.
No.
She was pregnant in the first book, I think, right? And it's been 7 years now or something.
Or the second book, but either way,
they're supposed to be, I think, going into 1st or 2nd grade. I was they sound like toddlers still.
Yeah.
And Dooley still sounds like kind of a young teenager. So that was my only complaint with this book. Absolutely loved the chapter when he was kind of in and out of his coma, but could remember that his wife was something that was good, and had all these what is my wife? And then he's remembering all these good connotations that he has with her. I was that's the sweetest thing. And then he was no, you have to go, even though I'm too sick, you have to go to New York and you have to go on that road trip. And then when he sent Dooley to go be the gentleman on that road trip, that was so sweet.
Okay. I can't believe this is only the first time this has happened, Chelsea. I have thought of a Harry Potter parallel. So in the Order of the Phoenix, when they're at the very the climax at the end, when they're at the Ministry of Magic, and he who must not be named, is trying to possess Harry. and Harry is really fighting it, and he's remembering all of his happy memories and like remembering laughing with Ron and Hermione and getting hugged by Sirius, all of these things, and then it brings him back. Oh.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's really similar, because that's basically what happened in this. It's like all his memories of his wife are kind of what pulled him out of his coma in a way, and like wanting to be home and knowing that there was something good at home that was worth like coming back,
staying for. Yeah.
Also, I felt like such a selfish reader, because when he got sick and then Hoppy's like, you need to stay home and rest, I was like, yes. Leave on a trip, and I was like, why are you leaving?
Like, no Tennessee for you. No Tennessee.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating.
There's epilogue.
Watching him, or reading about him, I guess not watching him, but reading about him and seeing that he's getting like more and more dangerously sick with diabetes. Like, you're going through these chapters and he keeps talking about how thirsty he is, and I'm like, that's like the major sign, like an incident. Like, have you learned nothing? And like, you've had diabetes. Just like, it's so weird that I'm like so thirsty today. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, that's not so weird. You're diabetic. That's like, I feel like that's in like the top 5 like signs to watch out for diabetics, is like extreme thirst.
Yeah.
But I guess it shows how much he has been like neglecting his health and hasn't really been like tapping into actually monitoring his stuff for a long time. That he doesn't even dig on that. But
Angie, or sorry, you were just, are you able to talk? Okay.
Yeah.
What did you think of Andy's Mountain?
Well, for me, this was a hard book to rate. There were a couple of storylines that I really enjoyed. I liked the Sammy storyline, and I really enjoyed Hope Winchester's story. She's one who I had hoped I would hear a little bit more about, since she's a single lady working at a bookstore, and I know at one point she kind of thought she was in love with Father Tim. I think this was several books before he was married. So I was hoping she would find love, and so I enjoyed her storyline, even though it didn't end with a match. But I had a hard time buying, I guess, I don't know if that's the right term, Father Tim's crisis. It felt like, and I don't know, maybe this is me just being a cynic. I kind of felt like Jan Karen wanted him to go through this crisis of faith, or a mental crisis. But I felt like the circumstances or the events that caused him to go through this crisis of faith and mental crisis were a bit shallow. I don't know.
Contrived, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. I just felt like, okay, I know he was in this accident. Not only did he could have killed somebody, but he also killed, I remember Ed,
the dog.
Yeah, the dog. What was the guy's name? Sprouse?
Sparky, I think, or something.
Sparky was the dog,
was Sparky, but I don't remember it was the pastor at the
Bill Sprouse?
Yeah, Bill Sprouse. Yeah.
Bill Sprouse.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he could have almost killed him had things, been, had he, swerved one way or another. It could have been Bill Sprouse who he ended up hurting. I don't know. I just felt like it was a little, I guess, Kate, like you said, maybe a little contrived. So I felt bad that I wasn't buying that storyline. Now again, I wouldn't have wanted, like, say, Cynthia to die and go, oh, that's some more believable, cause of a faith crisis. I wouldn't have wanted that. I just felt like this wasn't enough for me to believe that he was going through that.
Yeah, I guess a risk you run with this kind of series is that there's maybe a limited number of plot options.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like Crisis of Faith is kind of turning out to be like a Mitford trope. It's just different people going through it. So I guess when it works, it's great. But yeah, maybe I wasn't like 100% on board with it. Now that I think about it, I'm kind of like, why is he this like shattered by this? Kind of, I think I remember thinking.
Yeah, I thought that was a weaker point, and I'm curious to see, because it's like 20 years old, I think, this book, how she would have written it now that mental health is like taken more seriously,
Right.
because I didn't love the way they had him like go on antidepressants and then be like, never mind, I'm just gonna cheer up and stop taking them. And the doctor's like, okay, I guess so. It's like not really the best like representation of how you should address mental health, or like just stop taking your antidepressants and decide to cheer up. It was kind of like
go cold turkey. Yeah.
Questionable. Yeah.
Well, I'll say one thing about that though. I was on antidepressants for a little while after an event, and like I don't like normally deal with depression, but because of this situation, and I was like just unable to get myself out of it. The doctor put me on like a low dose antidepressant just because I was like crying every day. Like I couldn't get through the workday without crying and stuff like that, you know? So like there did come a point for me when I was just like, you know, I probably don't really need to take these anymore. I think I kind of time, you know, kind of like corrected that, you know, kind of healed the wounds, so to speak, you know? So like, I feel like while we maybe think that that was like a little contrived, like it would be different for everybody, because like he, as a pastor, you know, he's like one of his jobs basically is kind of to protect, in his mind, he probably thinks it's his job to protect the community and be like an example. And if he's not taking care of himself to the point where he almost killed one of his parishioners, like I could see that being a crisis of faith, or not a crisis of faith, but just like something to get you depressed, you know? So, so I guess like, I'm just saying for me, that didn't really bother me, because that's kind of how my thing went. Like I, one day was just like, yeah, I probably don't need to take these anymore.
That's funny.
You know, like, and mine was a really low dose, but you know, like, and I'm sure, you know, obviously that is not the case for everybody, obviously, but I feel like sometimes doctors put you on that in situational circumstances, and they're like, they just need a little something to help them. Yeah. To help them like actually keep their job. Like,
yes. Good to keep a job.
Yeah. Like my you know, employer was very understanding. They understood what was happening and why I was crying every day. But like at some point that would have gotten old.
Yes.
But
and then so I guess Angie, did you have any other thoughts?
One thing that did bother me, and I'm not exactly sure why, I was trying to figure out what it was about the situation that bothered me so much, but I didn't like the way Cynthia and Father Tim kept trying to push Dooley and Lace.
Yep.
I mean, it's one thing if they were just focusing on the friendship aspect. Had they just focused on Dooley making up with Lace and, you know, mending that friendship, that would have been one thing. But it felt like they kept wanting them to get together as a couple. I'm like, they're both just 19. I mean, yes, they come from the same background, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be good for each other. And just because Lace is beautiful, because that's like the one thing I kept hearing, Lace is so beautiful. She's so beautiful. It's like, okay, she's beautiful. Is she kind? Is she, which I'm sure she is, you know, I'm sure she is, but let me know that she's kind and giving and charitable and, you know, has a strong Christian faith or Christian walk. I don't know. Maybe that's what bothered me, is that the emphasis was so much on she's beautiful. And that always bothers me whenever a character is just beautiful. It's like, okay, beautiful, and what else?
Yes. You know what's funny? Actually, I'll tell a personal anecdote. Dave and I, we only dated, we were like such a short courtship, as they call it. We only dated 3 months before we got engaged. And then we were only engaged 6 months, and then we got married. But we had been good friends for 2 years. And I already knew like the things he did that annoyed me. So I wasn't and vice versa. And so when he was like, when we were first dating and he was telling his mom about me, he would just like kept talking about how pretty I was. And so she was like, okay. She was a little nervous.
Like, maybe you want to go off of more than that.
So then we like did a weekend visit and we were all cool and she was cool with it.
That's good.
That's funny. I agree, Angie. And also like people age, you know.
Yes.
I think so many older women are beautiful, but they don't look like they did when they were in their 20s or 30s. And so yeah, it's just, it can't be the thing, you know, the reason that you are with someone.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, Angie. I didn't like that either, that they kept trying to push these two people together. I'm like, maybe they just don't like each other that way. Like, back off. You know?
Yeah. You know what's funny is I'm such a like sappy person. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. They wanted to be together. But I guess, okay, here's the thing. I think Jan Karen didn't write it the best that she could. But I think off the page, we kind of know that Lace and Dooley are supposed to be together.
Yeah.
But also, I think Father Tim's intuition is telling him like, boy, Dooley's super bothered that she won't talk to him. And so I think he thinks there's a spark there. So maybe the delivery wasn't the best, but I support the like being like, hey, what do you think?
The meddling parents.
Meddling parents.
Yeah.
Well, I've been saying for a long time now, I wish my parents would just arrange a marriage for me. So, you know, I guess I shouldn't be all against it.
My husband and I talk about this all the time because the divorce rate in India is so low. But then he's like, but I was like, so would you have wanted to like marry anyone your mom recommended? He's like, no, like,
no.
So I don't know if they picked someone I liked.
My mom is so antisocial. She doesn't even know anybody for me to set me up with. So it's like, my dad could
when I worked as a pharmacy technician, I met a lot of people because there were a lot of customers, you know, who'd come to the pharmacy, and there were several parents who wanted me for their sons, but the sons had zero interest. So I was like,
oh man.
Well, there was this one guy who I really liked. He was such a sweet guy, and he'd always come in to pick up his wife's medicine. And one time he sent in his son, and I thought it was weird because the son was acting kind of funny. He was acting. It wasn't just like, I'm here to pick up my mom's prescription and leave. He was kind. I don't know. Just the way his behavior was. I was a little suspicious of what was going on, and I think the dad sent the son in to like
check out.
Possibly, yeah. And I'm like, and the guy really liked me. He really, really liked me. He thought I was a really good person, and we had a really good customer employee relationship. And but apparently the son was probably like, well, you know, no, I'm not interested, Dad. Because I never saw him again.
Aww. I remember one of my college friends, she had a guy friend who she had like friend zoned him. She was just not interested. But her mom had met him and she just loved him. And so she'd be like, oh, I was talking to my mom and she kept nice boying me about Dan.
Nice boy. Such a nice boy.
Oh, okay. This is a key point that Lisa brought up. She says, remember that Dooley has seen the worst of Lace. She was so broken in the beginning, not pretty at all. And maybe they want to remind Dooley that she has lovely traits.
That's
Although
true.
That's a good
my
point.
theory is, I think they're going to get married, and I think Dooley's going to say, "I thought she was pretty from the first time I saw her." I
Aw,
think that's what he's going to say.
I hope so.
I'll be back in a moment.
All right.
Carry amongst yourselves.
Okay. Angie, did you have any other points?
Let me see. I wrote down several notes. Let me see if I've got anything else I wanted to mention.
Okay.
Let's see.
Try to keep up with the chat.
No, all I said, my last note was, I am open to being convinced that this was a really good book, because I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. So it was, 3 stars, but it hovered a little into the 4-star territory. There were just a few things that kind of bothered me. And I think that's really what colored my, my enjoyment of the story, like that Father Tim, his crisis, Lace and Dooley. And then what about the part with, who's the villain? The lady, what's her name?
Oh, Edith.
Edith Mallory?
Yeah.
Did that just seem
crazy.
really random?
Yes,
That seemed
and it was
so
crazy.
random to me.
All of her scenes have seemed kind of like over the top. Like her whole plot line in the whole series is a bit unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like the sensationalist plot line. Like, Edith Mallory locked me in the room and was trying.
That's I kept thinking of a like Latin American soap opera, telenovela, like that. That's what always happens here. You've got this villain, and then of course at the end, the villain gets her comeuppance. Either she's like she's in some sort of like accident that causes her, some sort of like deformity, or she ends up going crazy. But it just felt to me like that storyline felt very random and unnecessary and very dramatic, more dramatic than it needed to be.
Yeah, because I don't actually remember why was she just trying to get him back from, like, there was no other reason for her to like lock him in that room and pay to have him like give her a sermon, right? Like it was just like for her to try to seduce him or something. Was that, I don't really even remember what the point was.
Well, I think she, at one point she was into him, right? I think in like book 1, she was very
she like
flirty
kind
with
of
him.
accosted him sort of.
Yeah, and then I think in this book she mentioned a couple of different times that she lost money because of the whole the building fiasco with the foundation. I think, didn't she mention that a couple of times?
Yeah, and I think maybe she was trying to get revenge on him or something.
Maybe for his role.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I thought that like, I was okay with the whole Father Tim depression scenario, but like I didn't buy that. Like, it seemed very crazy that he would try to convert her, sort of like, because she was like, I don't believe in God or whatever. So convince me. So I'm going to lock you in this room and make you give me a sermon. Like, what?
$1,000.
Yeah, like, who does that? Why would you do that? Yeah, I didn't really get that part at all. And I didn't really, it was like a telenovela or a soap opera. Like, it was.
Yeah. Chelsea,
like,
what was your take on it?
To be honest, I forgot that it had happened. By the time we were talking now, like I've never really found her whole plot line that believable. Like I never really understood like why was she like secretly backing that guy for mayor? Like was it that whole plot line with her was a bit weird. And then this one, I mean, I knew as soon as it was like, we've got an anonymous donor who just wants an hour of your time. I'm like, it's her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know why. He's so dumb.
Yeah, it's almost like the town needs a villain, and she's not. Her backstory was not very well developed. Like we don't.
Right. I don't understand her motivation.
Right.
Are you about Edith Mallory?
Yes. That whole weird locking him in a room and making him give her a sermon thing.
That was really that was not Jane Karen's best writing.
No. No. Well, we were saying we don't really even understand her whole role in that entire series. Like, what is she there for?
They need a villain. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like she just shouldn't have come back. Like,
No.
I think she doesn't know what to do with her as a character.
Yeah. Well, didn't she like incapacitate her at the end? So she's probably gone now.
Well, I thought. Wait, when did she incapacitate her? Because didn't her house burn down, right?
Yeah.
It was very Jane Eyre.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, did it say anything about her condition?
I thought something fell on her, like the room collapsed on her, and so she was going to be in the hospital for a while because of like needing physical therapy to recuperate. I
And
think
then she was going to go back to Florida.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird. It seemed like it was heading.
Lisa says everything Edith is weird and over the top. I just think a villain fits in a Mitford story. I think like the town gossip, like Emma, she's not a villain, but she's like, oh boy, she sure runs her mouth, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and there's go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a different topic, so you can say.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, there's enough other drama that happens in that I don't in the whole series that I don't feel like you really need a villain. Like, that's just like a throwaway thing. Because like you've got the federal convict guy coming back, like that's drama. You know, you've got like Father Tim almost dying from diabetes. That's drama. We have enough, Jan Karen. We don't need Edith Mallory.
Like I just feel a good editor could have said, you know what? You've got a good book here without Edith. You should leave that out. And like something like Cynthia's ex-husband could have come back or something.
Yeah. That would have felt okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have an opinion and I am interested if it's controversial in the group.
Oh, okay.
You know how Uncle Billy, he has, is it pulmonary heart failure? Is that the title or the name?
I think so.
Something with his heart, you know, and he needs to take his meds. But is he in his 80s?
I don't know. Does it ever say?
I think for some reason, like I've assumed he's in his 80s. I don't know.
I probably. Yes.
I think in America, we have this idea of like, it's like, you know, here's euthanasia on one end. And then in America, I feel like we just like want people to just keep pushing on until they're just like as miserable as can be. And like, they give, I know of someone who was like older in a nursing home and had no appetite. And so they were giving her pills to make her have an appetite.
Oh, geez, yeah.
80s and senile, or she was in her 90s. Like if someone just doesn't feel like taking their pills, like I just thought it was kind of ridiculous that Father Tim was hiring someone to come and make sure he took his pills, make sure Uncle Billy took his pills. And I feel like, I think someone should have the freedom, you know, if they're, you know, if they don't feel like taking their heart pills and they're just tired and they want to be done, I think they can be done. So
yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm one of
for Uncle Billy because I do feel like he's quite old, but he also still has so much responsibility in that household.
He does.
Like, he is really carrying the weight of the whole.
Yeah,
his storyline is actually, I think, the saddest of the whole.
Yeah.
They need to move to Hope House, and then some of the weight of the situation will be taken off him.
Yeah, like I think there was like a scene in this book where he's like trying to go out and garden or something. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I know they don't want to leave their house, which is like a very like believable old person plot line. But it's also like, it's time. You might not feel so tired and done in with life if you didn't have to try to like be a caregiver to your wife and keep up with this old mansion that is kind of
I think it will, and I'm sure for me, it will be a very scary change because that feels so final, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it's like when we're in the house, maybe you feel really in control. Like I can decide when I move out of this house.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully if Hope House is a nice environment with, you know, people running it that seem like they really are passionate about it, hopefully it is a nice environment.
Yeah. Although didn't he say, he's like, oh, Rose will never do that. She'll never move out of her brother's house.
Out of loyalty to her too.
Yeah.
Uncle Billy.
So I know. But I kind of feel like in a way, I agree with you, Kate, for like, if they really seem like they have no desire to live, kind of a thing. But it doesn't seem like that is the case with Uncle Billy. He just seems like really stressed out.
I see. So what is it with him with the pills not wanting to take them though? Is it just another task that just seems overwhelming?
Maybe. I guess I just don't remember enough of like what he said as to why he wasn't taking them.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe it's like for him, it's more of it's not that he doesn't want to live. It's just that he just doesn't feel like he needs that, you know?
Okay.
Kind of a thing. I don't know. That was the take on, like, he doesn't understand that, yes, Uncle Billy, you need to take this medication or you will die. You know?
Yeah. Their storyline, Rose and Uncle Billy, I feel like in the first book, it started off as a bit of like comedic relief.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just gotten so, like, now that we know she's got, what is it? Does she have Alzheimer's or is she bipolar?
She has schizophrenia. Yeah.
Schizophrenia. It's like it's gone from funny to really sad, really depressing, especially like I actually identified quite a lot with Uncle Billy because my sister and I were our parents' caretakers right now. And my mom has the beginning stages of dementia, and my dad is really hard to take care of. And I completely understood Uncle Billy's stress just about, you know, having to, you know, you have to take care of this person who's very difficult. And also at the same time, I know like my parents feel very useless because there's nothing for them to do. And my dad is so used to being active. You know, when he was living in Mexico, he was still, you know, like he had animals that he would look after. And so it's funny, like we planted a garden last summer when during quarantine. And that's kind of kept him busy. So it's like a little parallel between him and Uncle Billy. So yeah, I kind of feel like, you know how they say elderly people, if they feel useless, you know, once people retire, if they feel useless, like their health goes downhill quickly because they don't feel productive. But if they've got something to do, something where they feel like they're still being productive, something keeping them busy, their health, you know, they mostly are okay. And so, yeah, I was thinking of Uncle Billy. Yeah, he needs that garden. He needs something to, one, take his mind off Rose, and then two, just something to help himself feel like he's a productive member of Mitford.
Yeah.
Or of the household.
Yeah, my grandpa's like that. He's 91, and like every day that it's nice outside, he's out in his yard. Like he has a million flowers and like this little pond and everything. And like my mom helps him a lot. She goes over and waters and like moves things around and stuff. And she'll complain that he just has too much, so he can't take care of it. And she's like, that whole house is falling apart, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, Mom, that's like his only thing that he does like all day long. Like, you know, whether it looks good or bad or whatever, just let him do it.
Yeah.
No.
That's like,
I know.
My grandmother is 94, and her, like, one of her things that she does is she watches Jeopardy every night. And her brother is 10, I think he's 10 years younger than her. There's a big gap.
Oh, wow.
And so he's super up on technology, being 84. And he wants to give her birthday present. By the way, Rainey, she has the same birthday as Betsy from Betsy Tacy.
Ooh, that's very exciting.
So he got her a smart TV, and my aunt, like her daughter, lives close to her, my aunt and uncle. And so they said, hey, we want to come by and we're bringing you a present from Uncle John. And she said, well, if it's a TV, I don't want it.
Oh no. Oh no.
And they're like, oh, come on, Mom, like it'll be nice. It'll be like big picture on it. And so my uncle's like, I'll set it up for you, Mom. It'll be great. And she's like, Jeopardy is on in a half hour. I can't miss Jeopardy. This isn't going to be set up in time. And so then he tried to set it up and he failed. And she was just like really, really wanting to watch Jeopardy. And she's like, you don't want it. And I'm like, oh, Grandma, like, and she said she has so much back pain. And I mean, I'm sure of just pain everywhere. And she says she's prayed for the past like 5 years for the Lord to take her.
Oh,
Like, let her have her Jeopardy.
let her have a Jeopardy
On her curly TV.
Oh.
That's like it would be really hard to learn how to use a smart TV at 94.
Oh yeah. I don't have a smart TV. I go over to my aunt's house. I was hoping house sit for her, and they have a smart TV, and they have like, I don't know, YouTube TV or something. And I'm clicking stuff up. Like, I don't know. How do I just get the TV? That's all I want. I just want to watch Jeopardy.
There's too many remotes. Like, too many remotes. So I'm glad we do have a smart TV, and there's one for the TV, one for the DVD player.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you need.
And Peter said, Mama, when I'm older, I'm going to invent a remote that works on all TVs. And I was like, yeah, they've made that.
Yeah. Good try, Peter. I have a coworker that he's always coming up with invention ideas, and he'll say to me, Lorraine, I have this great idea, and he'll explain it to me, and I'll be like, Herb, did you Google it? It's like, darn it, Lorraine. I was like, it's a great idea, Herb. You are a really smart person, but you should Google it, because I kind of feel like somebody's done that already.
You know what you should invent? Like a sock finder. You know how you always out of the dryer, you get uneven numbers of socks?
Yeah. Where is my sock?
We've digressed enough. Are there any other final thoughts on the book? And then we can just continue this chat off the air.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think so.
That's everything. So I'm excited for Christmas in August.
Woo!
Abiding. So yes, we'll figure out when we're going to do the live show, and I'll make a post about it on here and on Instagram. And thank you for watching. Lisa was our one friend in the chat tonight. So thank you, Lisa, for keeping us in the
Go,
chat.
Lisa, go.
Yes, Lisa's awesome. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. There we go. Was about to click to end the meeting, and